Have you watched any of the coverage of CES and all the robots?
I have. First of all, every year at CES, I can't see any value in me going because I like other people to go through, walk the floor, find the stuff.
For sure.
Highlight the stuff that's good, highlight the stuff that's funny, and then the rest of it I just never want to hear about. I don't want to have to go walk through 20,000 steps a day to figure this out.
It's massive. CES is massive.
But then like everything else, like there's some robot that's making coffee. I'm like, what are you doing? It does a terrible job making, like the coffee looks like crap.
How about just a coffee machine?
How much a coffee machine?
You don't need a humanoid-shaped robot to do this.
What are you doing? Like, we don't need this problem solved.
My bet is within 5 years, there is a robot that can walk the CES for you and find the good booths so you don't have to go. Yeah.
I need the CES walking robot. Oh, that would be perfect.
That's what you're going to get.
That would be absolutely perfect. And then the problem is that robot's going to get sentient and be like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. And it's just going to go to The Verge and get it all from The Verge. Doesn't want to keep doing that.
The reporters are still having to walk the floor themselves.
Oh, no, they don't get a pass. No, you signed up for this.
Quiet, please.
All the booths are staffed by robots, right? It's the year 2035.
Sure.
All the products are robots. There's still 3 reporters from The Verge that have to walk the whole floor to get me my content.
4,
David Pierce has no choice. He
3,
still has to be there.
This is our future, everybody.
2.
Company presents a Truly Terrible Podcast. Welcome to Nonsense Season 4, Episode 2. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Stu Little.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time, growth at any cost. Uber's safety record faces federal scrutiny.
Wait, you mean that weed smell isn't an indicator of the driver keeping me safe?
I see you're a big fan of cologne. 30 minutes or less, the Walmart drone revolution hits LA, Miami, and beyond.
Oh, packages raining out of the sky, just like Sam Walton always dreamed.
Controlled medical evacuation ordered for the International Space Station.
And here we thought the ISS was more likely to be evacuated by one of Butch's many code browns.
The race to 15,000. The FCC greenlights 7,500 more Starlink satellites.
And you get a Starlink, and you get a Starlink.
Also, our big story later this week is about AI's impact.
You get a Starlink.
On employment and wealth. I know we promised that last week, but lordy, the technical difficulties, and it didn't happen, but maybe we'll get it out this week.
We're back to recording on tape this week. We're cutting it with scissors, folks.
On wire.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, it's Public Broadcasting Day, honoring the first live broadcast of 1910. Before podcasts and streaming, radio connected the world through theater of the mind. Today we celebrate the stations that prioritize truth over clicks and community over commercials. Tune in, listen deep, support public radio.
Yeah, now more than ever. I mean, with funding cut to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting last year, these stations are all effectively on their own. So if you care about or enjoy universal access to non-commercial, high-quality educational and cultural content, you should really support public radio today. They need it more than ever.
I still listen to our Santa Monica public radio station here. I don't listen to much radio. There's very little broadcast radio I listen to. It's been remarkably good.
Absolutely unwavering.
Oh, and we had one in Pasadena, too.
Yeah.
A very special local public radio presence that was really extraordinary. It's really different.
It's kind of unfair, though, because as most folks know, everything is better in California, and KCRW is no exception. So I get that. I understand.
How was your week going, birthday boy?
Well, I'm older now, as you clearly have leaked to our audience.
That's true every episode.
As I get old, thank you. By the way, I got a lot of comments about you explaining how averages worked to me last week, which I thought was really funny. I wanted to make a bigger steak, basically. That was my goal to myself for my birthday. I was like, how big can I go? A bigger piece of meat. That was my intent.
Oh, and actually, okay, I was thinking of a steak in the road or so, steak in your milestone in your life.
So, I mean, can it be both? Can a big steak be making a big steak?
I guess so.
I've been wanting to do a big prime rib roast for a while, and I have had this idea to see if I could combine 2 of my favorite things in life, which is delicious red meat with mold. Yeah. So I decided on Thursday last week.
That can't be good.
Yeah. To make a big dinner. So I bought a 21-pound boneless prime rib roast, as one does.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I just giggled like when the guy got it for me, and he was like, well, this one's 21 pounds. And I was like, well, I'm buying it. Like, what? It's my birthday. Sure. Why not?
I own the Excursion. Why wouldn't I?
Exactly. It'll fit in the back. I can fit 3 of them. And then I ground up some koji rice and threw it on there and let it rip. And for those that don't like or know about mold on their meat, maybe I should explain. There's a specific mold the Japanese call koji, or known as Aspergillus oryzae, and it's safe for human consumption, so you're not going to die. Okay. It's most commonly used to make things like sake, soy sauce, miso, like all these things you've had. This is the mold that's responsible for that fermentation. Okay. What's interesting is if you apply it to meat, it will rapidly tenderize and flavor the meat. So you get sort of these deep umami soy-like flavors that effectively simulate weeks of dry aging, but in as little as a day or 2. And it does this by breaking down the proteins and enhancing sort of the savoriness.
Sure.
It's not new. It's been around forever. It's newish to me. I've done it a couple times. But of course, I had to A/B test this because you can't just do one chunk of meat. You got to do 2 chunks of meat.
Cooking with science.
Basically. I cut the rib roast in half, and then half I just dry brined. We call that the control. And then the other half, I ground up some koji rice and some salt, and I sprinkled it on there, and then I put it on a rack in the fridge for 12 hours, and I had no idea what was going to happen. I may have just ruined a couple $100 worth of meat. Who knows? But I did a long reverse sear, and it was amazing. I was very happy. I think you were, you were here. You were part of the fun.
I did taste both, and I actually love the one that you enhanced with the quote-unquote mold.
It's not quote-unquote mold. It's mold.
Which is not really the way to sell this. I think you need another word other than mold to make this palatable for people.
Well, you could call it koji, sure.
But it was absolutely delicious. It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like French baking. You don't want to tell people how much butter is in anything. I think you just want to be like, I made the steak better. And just don't tell them how the sausage is made. I think that's the right answer.
Call it koji. Just call it koji.
Just call it koji. Exactly. So the result was this complex sort of aged taste, and the texture even changes, which is also fascinating to me because it extracts some of the moisture from the meat.
Sure.
I was very happy for my first time doing this. The flavor was great, but I was more pleased with the temperature. So by doing this at extremely low temperature for a long time, I was able to get this uniform pink from edge to edge on the meat. Even the end cut was perfect mid-rare. And that to me was really what I wanted to achieve. None of that gross gray brown crust around the meat. This is a cooking show now.
I know.
But that's okay.
It was beautiful.
That's okay.
By the way, I think I bought you your first prime rib in Las Vegas.
Not my first.
That wasn't your first?
No.
You had never had endless prime rib before, and you didn't realize you could go back to the carving station. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah. I remember it. I have a tiny shrine for every time I've ever gone to Vegas and had prime rib.
You made like 7 trips back.
I get to know the carver by the 4th trip.
Yeah.
100%. This is the way it used to go down. When I was younger, I could do this trick. I can't now that I'm older.
You were 15.
I would order a slice of prime rib at the little buffet, and they cut me one. And I'd say, hey, can I have another one? And then they'd be like, kid, and they'd slice me this like thin one. Lather, rinse, repeat that 3 times. After that, they're just like, oh, we're just giving this kid half the roast.
Sure.
I'd be kind of a little tiny bit of a dick. I'd be like, hey, can I have the center cut? Because I want the rare part. And they just look at me. But yeah, man, I would destroy me some prime rib. And it was really fun to make it myself. It's a very easy cut to make. You just have to not screw it up. It really isn't that hard. The hard part was the au jus. The au jus was more work than anything else.
Incredible dinner with Chris, Brian, Gary, Tara, Tony, Craig, Danielle, and yourself. Absolutely an amazing night.
You can only be a 1 or 2 syllable friend. Now, my kids were there too, and they, I'm glad we put them at the kids' table. I think that was the right thing to do. But they also destroyed like 2.5 pieces of prime rib each.
Sure.
It was a fun time. I'm glad you made it.
There was a lot of celebrating and a lot of good, happy eating and great people.
We have more reasons to celebrate this past week, though, too.
That's my week.
I know. Tell me about it.
Sure.
How was your week? What'd you do?
IU football. That's the only thing I'm going to mention is just IU football.
Yeah.
I will say they had a dominant 56-22 victory. By the way, the Peach Bowl was absolutely an incredible viewing experience. I don't know. Did you watch the whole thing?
I watched damn near all of it, yeah.
For the first time in program history, the Indiana Hoosiers are playing for the CFP National Championship, which is so exciting on the 19th.
Yeah.
They're facing the Miami Hurricanes, which should be so fun at Hard Rock Stadium. Indiana enters the championship with a 15-0 record. A win against Miami would make them the first team in football bowl subdivision history, FSB history, to complete a 16-0 season, officially completing the greatest turnaround in the history of college football. Let me just stress how bad Indiana was.
Totally.
Before Kurt Signetti got there.
Yeah.
They had some good years. Don't get me wrong. There were some good years, but there were a lot of, there was a lot of drought.
There were some good years before we landed on the moon. I mean, it had been a hot minute.
It's been a while. To get to 500, IU only needs to win 191 more games in a row.
So you just need 15 more seasons like this, and then
They are so close. They are so close.
That's nuts, first of all. The game was incredible. I mean, even if you're not a college sports or football fan, I still think the game was incredible. I'm most interested to see at the start of the game, they're playing Miami. They're playing in Miami's backyard, right? They're,
by luck and chance. The location of the game was set long before the outcome was known.
Of course. But my point is, I still suspect it's going to be it's going to look like an IU home game, because since this hasn't happened,
the IU fans are traveling.
It's cold as shit in Indiana right now.
By the way, tickets for the club level, last time I looked,
$4,000, like $4,000. Like, it's insane.
No, tickets for the club level, last time I looked, were above $18,000.
Oh, so you just got 2. You didn't get the whole 4? You just got the 2?
That's more expensive than the Super Bowl.
They should set up a CarMax dealer, temporary CarMax dealer in front, and you just drive from Indiana in your Kia, and you just drive it right in, and they give you $18,000 for it, and you immediately buy a ticket with it. You just trade in your Kia for a seat. This utilitarian thing that provides you value every day of your life you can give up just to watch some guys run around on a field.
IU has signed 7 4-star recruits for the 2026 class alone, which is a huge jump from previous years. You have to win your first season, which is like nearly impossible. They had a lot of things favoring them. It was a fairly easy schedule and a number of other things. But they did it, and in doing that, they were able to do a little recruiting this last year. And now it's just the floodgates are open. If you're a good football player, you want to go to IU. Things have changed so much. When I was first watching IU football, this was the first year of Curt Cignetti, because my child goes to IU, and so I started watching when that occurred. When I would watch games that first season, which was Curt Cignetti's first season, the stadium was maybe 3/4 full. They are now looking at Memorial Stadium to see if they can increase capacity. Is about 52,500. They want to increase capacity somehow to 70,000 because the ticket demand is so strong.
I think this is kind of nuts. I love the idea that they want to expand the stadium. I think that's great. I kind of feel like you might want to wait before you put the money into the infrastructure project. Like let's make sure this is a couple years of work before.
You think Kurt's going to get hit by a bus?
I think Curt might be coaching for the Ravens next year if they put a big enough pile of money in front of him. Who knows?
No, he's there for the duration.
I do think he's there for the duration.
As you have mentioned on this show, he has clauses in his contract that bring him up to salary parity with other really good coaches, provided he stays a really good coach. He doesn't trigger those unless he wins.
In lieu of pay increase, there is an item in his contract where he can accept a current aircraft carrier that would accept his pay. Like he's like either that or just give me another James Webb Space Telescope. Something I need something in the billions of dollars, and then I'd be okay with that. And I could just be like, oh, that's my aircraft carrier. Oh, you have a Gulfstream? Oh, that's cute. I have an Enterprise class. Some of the color they gave during that game, by the way, they were talking about his assistant coaches back at IUP, and I thought the story was great. He talked about 2 of his assistants that each made $5,000 a year at IUP, and they asked one of the assistant coaches, how did you get by during that time? And they said the assistant coach actually got emotional and said it was a lot of help from his friends and family. And I can only imagine being an assistant coach where you have to do this for the passion. You're not doing it for the money because that's not paying anything. And then they of course then followed up that story with one of them I think is now on like a $3 million a year pay package, which is awesome to see that sticking with that and being an excellent coach
has paid off.
Top of your game is being rewarded.
It's very cool. I think Kurt's dad coached for IUP.
IUP is legendary at IUP. Like I think there's like a field or something named after him. I think there's some part of that school has named it after his father.
That's really cool.
Really cool to see him follow those.
He played under his father for 1 year.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. But it's like the Harbaughs, right? Like they just have this football legacy.
Well, literally like no breaks went Kurt's way in terms of getting big offers and all of that. He had to like bet on himself big time. Yeah, and it's paid off.
Yeah.
I could talk about IU football for the rest of the podcast. Let's not.
I'm optimistic that with just a little more money, he'll be able to buy a smile surgery. Like maybe have a smile surgery. Just have those muscles reinstalled that he sold to make ends meet. It's been a fantastic story. Fun to watch.
Shall we read some headlines?
Let's do it.
How one Arizona case could cost Uber billions. Uber faces high-stakes federal trial in Phoenix, Arizona that serves as a bellwether for over 3,000 similar sexual assault lawsuits. The plaintiff, Jaylyn Dean, alleges she was raped by a driver in 2023, a tragedy that she argues was preventable. The case puts Uber's safety infrastructure under fire. Attorneys claim the tech giant prioritized growth over passenger safety by ignoring systemic reports of misconduct and failing to implement serious, rigorous background checks or in-car cameras. Uber maintains it cannot be held liable for criminal acts of independent contractors and insists its safety tech is industry-leading. After a judge rejected Uber's last-minute attempt to delay the trial, the verdict now carries massive weight. It will likely set the settlement value for thousands of survivors seeking accountability for platform-related violence. Uber rival Lyft is facing similar lawsuits, both in state and federal court, although there is no coordinated federal litigation for those claims. Uber sought to delay the trial in Dean's case after accusing her attorneys of tainting the jury pool with an ad campaign that said Uber was notified of a sexual crime almost every 8 minutes. Uber said the campaign's claims were categorically false. Now, those claims actually, that number actually came from a New York Times investigation, and I have a feeling New York Times did their homework.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was from sealed court docs where they got it from. I don't think they just made it up out of whole cloth.
Right.
My hunch is Uber's response is some percentage of those claims are not substantiated or of some other concern. Who knows? But they certainly haven't brought it to light.
Those are just the ones that were reported. Imagine how many occurred that were not reported.
I mean, Uber disclosed something like 12,000 over the same time period, but they haven't provided a lot of detail between the two. This is very interesting to me. This certainly this case. I'm thinking more about the solution to the problem. Like right now, we're clearly stuck in the mire with this. Mm-hmm. AVs are the solution, right?
It's a self-correcting problem because AVs are cheaper and they're going to destroy the Uber business anyway.
Yes, your Waymo is not going to sexually assault you. Now your Tesla might. I don't know what they're building that. If they put Grok in that thing, they
Sure,
might.
sure.
I would be a little concerned about getting in a Tesla with Grok.
Wow.
That's a separate concern. That's a feature, as what I'm presuming they're selling that as. It does seem like if you see, if you have this pattern of complaints, it does.
A sexual assault complaint every 8 minutes.
Well, I'm sorry.
Every 8 minutes.
I'm saying if you see a pattern within certain drivers, right?
Oh, you think it's all one guy and he's just every 8 minutes he's assaulting somebody?
It's that one guy.
So they could just fire that one guy?
If they could just get rid of him, if they could just get him off, but he's grandfathered in. Okay, they are doing something like 60,000 complaints a year they're getting, or they have been getting. I got to believe that you're seeing some patterns across drivers, right? Now, I know people abuse the system all the time both ways. I see videos in the past on TikTok of people that are like, I didn't like this driver, I'm going to claim these things in my report. So I'm sure the folks at Uber are dealing with that as well. My hunch is it's not the vast majority, right? So you got some number in there that are substantiated claims. And if you've got...
That's easy to fix, by the way, if you're an Uber driver. Just put up a camera.
Well, absolutely.
Just record all of your rides. Absolutely. What are you doing not doing that?
But I do think that they, being Uber or Lyft in this case, you've got some culpability here. If you've got more than a handful of reports, really even one substantiated report, how is that person still on your platform?
Sure.
And I have to believe this is the driver. I have to believe that the drivers are in such demand still. They need them more than they are letting on. Otherwise, they kick them off. There's no value in keeping on a driver that's committing sexual assault unless you absolutely need the drivers.
Well, it's very easy to increase or decrease the number of drivers, and that is by increasing or decreasing the percentage of the fare that they get.
Well, you got another lever too. You can change the fare as well, right? But determining market, you can absolutely drive that. I mean, Uber prices are up significantly from my experience over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Now, where that money is landing is certainly up for debate, but it does seem like costs have gone way up and the service doesn't seem to be slowing down at all.
I think Waymo prices are even up in the last year. That's my sense from rides I've taken. I have no actual data. I just have my experience.
When the great Waymo gods decide to come and visit my home, then I will be taking more Waymos. Right now, it is only a privilege for me to take a Waymo.
They keep their pricing in with market pricing, or roughly market, a little lower than market pricing is my experience.
Yeah, but this trial is going to be super interesting. I'm not crazy about these pool of trial attorneys that are putting ad campaigns out. I do think that could effectively taint the jury pool, but there's also no way around that. I mean, it's in the ether.
But let's talk about why those attorneys put out those ads. The attorneys put out the ads because Uber was trying to limit their compensation for suits. Uber was literally trying to change the law
in California
to make it so that it's less viable for an attorney to take a contingency suit.
Yeah, they want to cap contingency fees and I think reduce or restrict what you can get medical costs reimbursed.
So Uber is both complaining that they've tainted the jury pool, the lawyers have tainted the jury pool, but Uber is really the cause of them putting the ads out to begin with.
Yeah, sure.
They did.
Well, they didn't have to put the ads out.
Well, you come after my livelihood, I'm going to put out some ads about why we need...
Oh, they're coming after their livelihood.
Why we need to be able to sue you.
Sure. Some cap. I don't know. This is obviously a big, hairy ball of wax to take apart. But I do think, though, to what you said earlier, I feel like there is a solution coming very quickly on this, and that will be AVs.
I don't think they can put out enough AVs quickly enough. Uber is so huge by comparison to Waymo. For Waymo to catch up, I mean, the growth rate would have to be absolutely extraordinary. And Waymo doesn't seem to be a company that grows like that. They're adding like 10 cities this year in 2026. We were talking about in our predictions them adding 10 more on top of that, but I don't think that's likely. They seem to go slow.
I see a confounding of factors that tells me when they're ready, they can go quickly. And I'll tell you why, because it seems like once you have AV self-driving tech that works, that is callable, then you start to see a decrease. You see this like spiral, like decrease in car sales, which means they can scale up faster and cheaper because those cars have got to go somewhere. You already have them. And to me, the only thing that matters is who has the most capital. You're going to need a ton of capital to deploy and do this.
Well, it's Google. And Alphabet has the capital for sure.
Yes, you saying it. It does seem like they got a lot of capital to me. So it seems like when they want to press the accelerator on this, they can. I do not think it will be just Google. I think there will be others. I think Google has to figure out what they want to do with the tech too. Do they want to just keep it for themselves, which is what I kind of hope they do? They want to license it out to other manufacturers. But you get to this world.
I have never known Google to keep tech for themselves. They always license it out. Literally, they just announced a couple days ago. Yeah, a couple days ago, they announced that Siri, on the iOS platform, is going to work with Gemini AI.
Sure.
They don't keep the tech for themselves ever. If they can make money off of it in some way, they do it.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
The car manufacturer who finally comes around and says, hey, we'd like to use your AI for our self-driving. Google's going to say, here's the terms, here's the deal, and they're going to go bing bang, and they're going to make a deal and go.
Yeah, I think the margin they're going to get on running their own AVs with their tech, which I believe will be substantially better, will be orders of magnitude higher than what they'll get from selling it to Ford to slap on their car or whatever. But we'll see. Who knows? Yeah. I hear your point. I mean, you make a good point there.
Waymo is profitable. I mean, they say that's what we hear from their conference calls. Waymo is profitable now.
But I love that they don't have the pressure of having to hit some profitability milestone or go BK. Like they can get the tech done correctly, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Take your time and go safe. Every single new zone, every single new city that you add is going to have complications you didn't have in previous cities.
Sure.
Every city has its uniqueness that requires you to go learn new things.
I had this conversation with my wife over the weekend. We were talking about something traveling, not even about this case or anything to do with that, but it was just the way that I view travel with Ubers or Lyfts is so completely different than the way she views it. And she's like, oh yeah, because you're a man. Like we have to think about these
100%.
things. And I just take that for granted that I can just get like, sadly, zero Uber drivers are going to, when I get in, are going to be like, oh, I'm going to rape this guy.
Totally.
Like no one's saying that.
The sky is the new aisle. Walmart's National Drone Blitz. Walmart is taking the last mile race to the skies. In a massive expansion announced January 11th, Alphabet-owned Wing is bringing drone delivery to 150 more Walmart locations this year. Unfortunately, my city is not one of them. This isn't just a pilot program, it's a national scale-up. The expansion moves beyond the Dallas-Fort Worth and Atlanta hubs into major metros like Los Angeles, Miami, Cincinnati, and St. Louis. You can go to their website, you can enter your address and see if it applies to you. Does not apply to me. Not that I'm bitter or anything. By the ending of 2026, the service will reach 40 million Americans, offering 30-minute delivery for essentials like eggs, medicine, or late-night chargers. I don't know what a late-night charger is. I guess you need to charge your phone.
Like a phone charger maybe or something?
Well, why is that it only works so late at night?
If your phone's dead?
The charger doesn't work in the day. The drones, cruising at 65 miles an hour, will use a tether system to drop packages precisely on front lawns. With a goal of 270 locations by 2027, Walmart is betting big that instant is the new standard for retail convenience.
How can you look at this and not go, this is super cool?
Super cool.
Like, forget about the brands involved, that it's Google or Walmart.
Packages get to me fast enough. By and large, I just don't care about speed anymore.
There is a subset of stuff that I think this is extremely applicable for. Example, I would love a world where when I do my video call with my doc or I go visit them and I get home and my medicine is just there. That is an excellent use case for this. I'm already sick. I don't want to go to CVS and cough on someone. Like, I know that's a very small subset.
What else is CVS for then?
Oh, I would like CVS to go away. I have not been bashful about that at all.
If not for sick people to go and cough on other people, what is CVS for?
Oh, I see your point.
Yeah.
Passport photos.
Oh, okay.
And Reese's Pieces. That's basically it.
Okay, good.
Peeps. Where else are you going to buy your Peeps? I love this idea, though. I mean, I can see the world very near term where I leave my doctor's office and my script is waiting for me at my house when I get home. And I think that's lovely. Yeah. I can also see a world where, like, as a father of two very much growing young boys, there have been a handful of times where I wake up in the morning, I got school coming, and I realize we are out of eggs.
Yeah, sure.
And now I need to get protein into these kids, and I don't know how to do it. And I'm like scrambling in the fridge to figure something out. I would love a world where I could order a dozen eggs and have them delivered in 20 or 30 minutes. That could be awesome.
Or just have looked at the fridge the night before.
Okay, you have your solution and I have mine. Mine is technology based. Yours is responsibility based.
Well, they used to only carry 2.5 pounds. Now they carry 5.
Yeah, their payload's really small.
5 pounds is better.
5 pounds. That's pretty. What, a half gallon of milk? Like, what do you do? Multi-trip? I feel like either of us, really, probably both of us, will be very tempted to abuse this, like we did Cosmo back in the day when I was like, oh, I can order 1 bag of Skittles and a guy shows up, and like I did it once and then felt terrible, and I was like, this guy just rode all like 4 flights of stairs, rode a bike to bring me Skittles. Like, no, let's not be that guy. Super fascinated by this though. I think this is really interesting and pretty lofty goal to get something like 270 locations deployed by the end of next year. That's amazing. I think this is super interesting. However, this is where I want to plug my own startup here.
Okay.
I think after I like how I say that and you immediately start laughing. Like, I can't even get those words out without you laughing. I would say, do you feel funny coming? Is there like a tsunami of funny coming?
We'll see.
So instead of drone delivery, which I think is great, I am excited to deploy my own version of home delivery, which are just little mini trebuchets that they put at the Walmart, and they can just fling the shit to your house. I think that would be awesome.
Controlled medical evacuation ordered for the International Space Station. NASA is cutting a major mission short following an undisclosed medical situation involving one astronaut. The agency has decided last week to bring 4 of the ISS 7 crew members home months early. While NASA remains tight-lipped on the astronaut's identity, there's only 4 of them. We could probably figure it out with 25% accuracy.
Not probably.
Yeah. Chief Health and Medical Officer James J.D. Polk confirmed the individual is absolutely stable. The agency is erring on the side of caution by fast-tracking their return. Originally slated for February, the Crew 11 team will now depart later this week for a splashdown off the California coast.
When you put the word absolutely in front of stable, I have one eyebrow that goes up.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have just said stable. When you say absolutely stable, I'm like, wait, really?
And they're bringing him home, so obviously he's not absolutely stable.
I don't actually know that. Yeah, exactly. But this is like, these are the things that they plan for, and this is not, nobody wants, this is not what anybody wants.
The space station's full of medical supplies. It basically is
it's full of doctors.
Yeah,
it's full
it's basically an EMT that floats in the air.
Yeah.
That floats in the lack of air.
There's a place to have a mild stroke or aneurysm. That's probably not the best place, but it's not a bad place to do it. You're better off there than out in the sequoias.
Well, that's true. I know that was the only other option.
Those are your choices.
Yes.
Those are your choices, it turns out. So currently, as of the time of recording, slated to re-enter and splash down just after midnight on Thursday morning of this week. So
are you going to go watch?
If you're in Southern California, yes, I am planning on going to watch and bringing a bunch of cameras, trying to get video. Because the last time I did this, when the Dragon capsule came back over LA, you may remember that I got completely socked in 30 minutes before splashdown. But we are currently slated to be completely clear skies on that day. We have whatever inversion layer, whatever the hell is happening here, we are completely clear skies and like 80 degrees for the rest of the week. So it's supposed to be super nice. So I think fingers crossed we're going to be okay.
What nice weather for them to come home in.
And when you see this thing streaking across the sky, it looks like nothing you've ever seen before.
The chemtrails are really interesting. Can you call them chemtrails? Are they chemtrails? What are they?
Yes.
What is that
chemtrails.
thing?
They are chemtrails. Yes, that is.
They
exactly
light up
what
the
they
sky.
Are.
They're amazing.
It looks like. It just looks like something you've never seen before. The flame trail on this thing is massive. It is incredible.
It looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. It looks fake.
And you'll hear the double sonic boom as well, which will also be super cool. So if you're in Southern California, double check because they will not confirm the splashdown time until it's undocked. And the goal is to undock this thing from the space station such that there's like a little trunk that crashes to Earth. They have no control over. They want that to fall where there are no people. So it's important for them to get that timing right. But they suspect that they will detach the capsule sometime on Wednesday of this week, and then at that point, once it's detached, we should know splashdown time.
And so bringing the 4 of them home, that leaves only 3 in the International Space Station.
Yep.
And that's how we used to run it. We used to run it with a crew of 3.
Yeah.
And then we got a crew of 6 up there, and I think they eventually moved up to 7 or 8 or something like that were routinely doing, experiments and things in the space station.
With only 3 versus 7, it makes for way less fun key parties, but, still something. It's just a bowl with 3 keys. By the way, I just want to go on the record here. I am having a lot of fun on our last show. This has been great.
FCC expansion unlocks new era for Starlink Mobile. In a major win for orbital dominance, the FCC just cleared SpaceX to launch an additional 7,500 Gen 2 Starlink satellites. This partial grant doubles the company's authorized next-gen fleet to 15,000, aiming for symmetrical gigabit speeds that could finally bring fiber-like performance to the most remote corners of the globe. To secure the deal, SpaceX agreed to operate at lower altitudes, some as low as 340 kilometers, to minimize signal lag and ensure dead satellites burn up faster in the atmosphere. The expansion also unlocks direct-to-cell capabilities, allowing standard smartphones to stay connected without a dish. While the FCC deferred a decision on the remaining 15,000 satellites in Musk's 30,000-unit dream, the message is clear. The race for space-based gigabit internet is accelerating.
Like, it feels like a video game.
Yeah.
There's a factory in Redmond, Washington that is cranking out 7,500 Starlink satellites.
Yeah, we're doing 10 a day, so now they've got to up that.
Crazy, of course. But I mean, they are just turning the crank on like raw materials come in and satellites come out.
And the number of spaceships required to get those into space, I mean, that number just gets bigger and bigger.
Really, and even like the Gen 3s can't even go up on the Falcons. I think the Gen 3s are too big for the Falcons, if I recall correctly. They need the Starship Heavy. I'm not a huge fan of disrupting the night sky.
Oh, you won't even see the night sky anymore. First of all, they're coming down lower.
No, they're going to be ads. They're just going to put, they're going to be like when they have drones.
A giant array. You're going to light them up 100%. And say, drink Coca-Cola.
Buy a Tesla.
Right.
Yeah. But man, it is so tempting for the idea to be able to have gigabit internet anywhere and phone access, at least limited phone access anywhere. That's incredible.
This potentially eliminates cell phone companies.
That's a very interesting take. I don't think so, at least not for a very long time.
Yeah.
I think it augments them really well. They might get gobbled up. I don't know how that's going to work. You've got too much terrestrial deployment. You've got too many places that these things don't work at all, meaning Starlink's not going to work at all. In a building, nope. Zero. There's zero chance that it's going to work. Could you do some sort of boosters or something on the ground? Yeah. But you know what that looks like? Cell sites. The space race on this, though, is really interesting. I mean, Starlink obviously has an advantage and a huge head start. They've certainly unlocked the potential of what's there. My hunch is you're going to end up with probably 3 or 4 competitors that will slim down to 2.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you probably see these get gobbled up. I mean, it gets really interesting, especially international, but I think a lot about like SiriusXM and how that we never needed 2 of those. Like that was just silly to have 2 of those. And now you barely have 1.
Okay, enough of the headlines. In fact, enough of the episode. We have to get out of here. Special thanks to our floor director, Mark Ladden.
Thanks, Mark.
We'll be back later this week with our big story, how AI disrupts jobs. Until then, thank you for listening to all this nonsense. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Schittle.
Had we ordered a package from Walmart at the beginning of the show, it would almost be here now.
Mine is. Yeah, it's here right now. Not so long ago, connecting the internet was an arcane process that required intimacy with Unix, routers, and more. Today, a reliable, feature-rich internet connection is just a phone call away, Jeff.
A phone call away.
Yeah, and with long-distance heavyweights such as AT&T, MCI, and Sprint joining CompuServe, America Online, and independents such as Netcom, and the internet service provider arena, prices are falling.
Good.
Local access numbers are proliferating, and access speed is gaining momentum.
Wonderful.
So to get on the internet, you only need 3 things.
Okay.
You need an ISP.
Sure. Internet service provider.
Right, that's your internet service provider, which you pick based on, your location, your travel needs, etc. And you can either do a pay by the hour or you can do the all you can eat $20 per month plans. You can just browse to your heart's content.
Okay.
That's awesome. You need a WinSock connection.
Okay.
Now, if you're running Windows 95 or Windows NT, you can simply use the operating system's dial-up networking feature. So that's great.
Sure.
But you're also going to need to know your IP address, DNS server address, username, password, and domain name. So you have to have all those things.
Sure.
And now if you're running Windows 3.1, you're going to need a TCP IP dialer package such as Trumpet WinSock or CompuServe's Net Launcher. So make sure your ISP will supply one. And then the third thing that you need, and this is really simple, you need TCP IP software. So in addition to a web browser, and there you've got Netscape Navigator or Microsoft Internet Explorer, you're going to need like a newsgroup reader, an email program. Those are features that are increasingly being bundled into browsers.
Sure.
But there's still plenty of a la carte choices available, especially with Exchange as an email client on Windows 95. And then that's it. Lickety split. You're online. So you get connected today. Internet's just a phone call away.
That's fantastic. I should do that.
You
I haven't tried the internet. I've heard good things.
Oh, it's a dark place. So there were a lot of hints in here. I loved this ad.
Yes,
It was kind of a, advert about getting connected online because we're talking about Starlink, gigabit speeds with low latency. And this really wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, yeah.
I am confident you can get the year on this because I basically gave it to you.
And it does mention Windows 95, Windows NT,
Dial-up.
so it's got to be mid-90s. I would say it can't be before 95, so it's got to be 95 or there.
Yeah, it was 96. So it was December of 96.
96, okay.
But I loved this because it talked about the things that you needed in order to get connected and the work you had to do. Like, yeah, sure, you weren't running Gopher, but you still had to do some work plugging stuff together and like having to have a username and password to get connected if they had PPP or know your IP address because you weren't handling garbage.
Which is why almost no one did that.
Of course.
They signed up for America Online or they signed up for CompuServe because it just saved.
Exactly. You got the disc in the mail and you just went.
easy.
Another great example, just take a little bit of friction out and it's so much easier to get users to come along. But this wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Like it was 30 years ago, but still, it wasn't that long ago. So for the 30-year anniversary of internet, all you kids just plug in to your Wi-Fi. You got it easy. Dial-up internet, 1996. Is this pants optional?